Hi there, I'm Eric Word Weaver Sjerven, Gothi of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas, and I'd like to welcome you to the Raven's Call. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects. It's kind of whatever strikes my fancy, it sets my mind on fire at the time. Big UPG warning in the front of this, guys. I am not a hardcore recon. I am not a fluffy bunny neo-pagan. I am somewhere in the middle, and I walk my own path, and I live by the creed, not my hall, not my call. So I do what I do, and I put it out there for you guys to see. Typically you like it. Hopefully you continue to do so. So if you like these videos, please hit like, subscribe, ding the bell, all of that down below. If you are listening at home on the podcast version, then please, whatever the interactive method is for your particular podcast, give it a go. Positive reviews are always helpful. Honest reviews in general are helpful. So please, give me feedback. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you like to see, what you would like to see more of, less of, etc., etc., etc. All of my contact information is down below in the description. I try to do the same thing for the podcast, so hopefully you have it there as well. You will find links to the Facebook page, email, all of that stuff. You should also find a link for my book, which is up now. I know a lot of people are interested in kind of supporting the page or supporting the feed. And so this is kind of my method of doing that. If you guys are interested in it, I've put out my Heathen storybook that tells the story of the Saga of Bjorn Thorolfson. It's out there on Amazon in ebook form and in paperback. So hit it up, give it a purchase, and give it a look-see. Let me know what you guys think. Okay? So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into today's subject. This is an interesting one. This was a viewer request. And I actually have a couple of people that are talking to me about this and tangential topics, which is why I'm going to turn it into kind of a couple of things. So, but the question essentially centers around what is the place for heathens in heathen society today that don't fall into the societal norm of the nuclear family, the parents and kids kind of thing. What is the place for heathens that don't have, can't have, won't have kids? And that's an interesting subject. I talk to heathens in general, and I tend to forget the significant focus that's placed, especially in certain circles, on progeny and the need for that. And part of that is because it's just a natural biological drive. And, a lot of people will be like, well, of course you don't think about it because, that's the norm. And when you're used to that, because I don't have kids. I work at a boys' home. I actually run a boys' home. And so I've got like 30 kids that are my own, but they're not my own. I haven't had kids, and I'm probably not going to have kids within my lifetime, just the way things have worked out. And so I am one of those heathens that does not have the legacy of progeny to leave behind. And I've just kind of rolled with that. So I forget that in my early days, I did struggle with that a little bit. In the what am I going to leave behind, since I am something of a, I'm a branch on the family tree that's not going to branch out further. At least not from my particular twig. Hopefully one of my brothers will pull through for us. But it's a thing, guys. It really is. And essentially, there is a strong societal push towards reproduction and the future generations. It's supposed to be that way. That's how cultures, that's how tribes, peoples survive. And it's okay. It's okay that that push is there. But there needs to be an understanding, too, from those individuals that are all in on having kids. They got 3 kids of their own, they're raising them, they're great kids, etc., etc., etc. They, too, need to recognize that there is a place in society for those that don't have children as well. Naturally speaking, when you're talking about a species as overpopulated on the earth as humans are, the competition for resources on this planet alone is going to limit our generational growth over the next few centuries as it is. And it's a thing. So that being said, population control alone, it's not a huge thing if people choose not to have children in today's society. But there's more to it than that. There's people who just don't want to have kids. There are people who cannot have kids for medical purposes, may actually want to have children. This may be a sore spot for them, but for some reason they cannot have kids. Now, of course, those individuals have the option of adoption. They have the option of fostering, things like that. But that's not always the solution for some people, because some people want their particular, bloodline to continue on. I get that. That's a natural human drive. And so I'm not going to think less of anybody who's very driven by wanting to have and raise healthy kids. But there is a place in society for those that choose not to as well. Similarly, in a society, our society is heathens today in general. If I was to draw globalized generalities between these disparate cultures that make up the heathen sphere in modern day, because each little tribe is a culture in and of themselves. Generally speaking, in some overarching terms, there is a heavy focus on progeny and relationships, because we are a social... Heathenry in general is very socially focused. It's like, we're not a globalized people, so I can't say like we are a social people, because that's not how it works. Generally speaking, heathens tend to be very socially driven. We tend to band together in tribes. We tend to band together in hearthsteads that encompass more than just a single individual. But a hearthstead can be a single individual. A hearthstead can be just one person holding it down, and then they can be a part of a tribe and bring something to the tribe. They don't necessarily have to be in a relationship to be of value to the tribe. Yes, the SIB, the family unit, is the smallest indivisible social construct according to kind of arch-heathen times. Everything you did was as a representative of your SIB, of your family. Even within acting within a tribe or clan, you represented your little hearth. And so, yes, if there's more to your hearth, then you're tied to that. But if there's not, if you are by yourself, you still have value. You still have worth. You still bring a great deal to the table to a tribe if you wield your worth, if you wield your luck to build the worth correctly, and build a gefrain that then turns into you have value, just the same as the couple who chooses or cannot have kids have value to the tribe. Now the trick is you have to be okay with that. All right? As individuals who are in the more statistical outlier category, as far as the generalities of a society goes, it's natural that which is the normalized behavior pattern, that which is the normalized kind of structure within that social structure, will just be kind of the taken for granted basis. All right? And that anything that deviates too much from that is going to be kind of a jarring shock to those that do normalize along that line. There's nothing wrong with those that do. It's just, of course, you're going to habituate to what is around you. And if that's all that's around you, then someone who deviates from that social norm is going to be an outlier. They're going to stand out. That doesn't make them bad or good. It just simply means that, they're not this socio-normative thing. They're something else, and therefore have a different value, but still have a value. Whether that's a positive or negative value depends entirely upon the actions and deeds of that person, the worth that they build within the tribe, etc., etc. So, yes, there is a place for individuals that choose to, cannot have, whatever may be, children, that do not reproduce. There is a place for individuals that don't engage in a relationship, or that don't engage in kind of traditional relationships. That's not what it's about. You come in and you present who you are and lay it on the table. And if the social construct of that tribe, kindred, tribe, whatever, is something that can work with you, then they'll bring you in. You prove your worth through deed and action, and they decide you're somebody they want to keep around. Similarly, through deed and action, they prove to you that they are a social construct you want to be a part of. Whether or not you have a significant other doesn't necessarily play into that. Now, not as far as that kind of thing goes. There are going to be some just basic sociological elements that go into this, like couples tend to like to be around other couples. Single people tend to like to be around other single people. You don't have to, but it's because you like to surround yourself with homeostasis. You seek to become the socio-normative demographic. People tend to want to be around other people like them, like attracts like. And so, it's normal that, if you've got a bunch of young 20-something single people that tend to become the basis of what becomes this tribe. This tribe was founded by a bunch of, men and women in their early 20s who are, not married, not in relationships, no kids, mostly college-age kids or, military or whatever. Then that tends to be what they're going to attract, and therefore it's going to build on itself like an echo chamber. And so the culture of this tribe will build into one that is more normalized around that. Similarly, if you have families band together to end up forming a tribe, and it is a more family-oriented, more couple-oriented kind of setting, then those are going to be the people that feel most comfortable in that setting, those that kind of fit into that. It's not to say that everybody in there, somebody in there could get divorced or whatever. It doesn't make them any less tribe. It just changes. And so, but they've already got frith built with these individuals. And so everything rolls along fine and absorbs all of that. It's not like their relationship was mandatory to gain them entry into this tribe, into this social structure. Just that it was kind of a thing that drew them together in the first place. That made them comfortable around each other. Like attracts like. So, it's a psychological thing. Anyway, because of all of that, people ask me then, well, what is my legacy to leave behind? Because I'm not going to have another generation to remember me. And guys, this is something that has hit me too. I've gone down that road. The whole, well, who's going to say my name over the horn? Who's going to remember me? Who's going to tell my tale in the future? And because I don't necessarily have someone that's going to do that. And that's a heady thing. But it's not it's not as bleak and grim as it sounds, guys. There is something you can do. Because you can still leave a legacy. You can still leave a part of yourself. You just put it back in different ways. As like within Ridgar, then my tribe. There will be other members whose kids will continue on, and hopefully they will continue on Ridgar, and that our tribe will survive through them and future generations and the new blood that we bring in, etc., etc., etc. Future generations of the tribe will carry it on. And the efforts that I put into helping build it in the beginning, the efforts that I've put into forging it and developing it and establishing it and making sure that it is something that will endure for those future generations, that becomes my legacy. So that is how a leader can create a legacy for themselves that's not a progeny, that's not, raising a son or a daughter. That's a way for your name to live on, because you will always be remembered as one of the founders of the tribe. Especially if you go through and create books and write stuff down, guys. Write things down. That's where our ancestors went wrong, because they didn't have it yet. They didn't have the hang of it all. And so there's so much we lost to generations that we would recognize now. Stories we would tell, people's names we would remember if they were written down or recorded in some kind of fashion. Because I guarantee you, if I had written records of some of my ancestors back in Norway, and some of the cool things that they may have done, the hard things they went through, I'm going to say their names over the horn, because I want to pull that forward and hopefully bring some of that luck forward to me. They had to survive through hard stuff. They were probably some really cool people. Some of them I do know about through ancestral works, thanks to my great-great-uncle, who did some fantastic work on our family tree, and my mom, who has just taken that part and her own work and just blown the whole thing up. I mean, it's incredible. We've got some really cool stuff. And she took on 2 family trees. Wow. Anyway, the gist is that we have an opportunity now to record things in a fashion that our ancestors did not. And therefore, things can become a legacy that wouldn't necessarily have been a legacy before. Before, stories needed to be told of you. You had to do something that was worthy of legend, and therefore your legend would be told. You still need to do that. If you do deeds and actions that are worthy of being remembered, then you will be remembered for them. So that's what you need to look for your legacy. What are you going to leave behind? Well, what kind of mark can you make? How big a legacy do you really need to leave? Because ultimately speaking, the important thing in life is to be happy, right? If you're not happy, then why are you doing it? Legacy is great and all, but if you get so sucked up in legacy that you're over focused on, you're driving yourself to madness, trying to establish some kind of legacy, that you forget to live your life in the moment. You forget to enjoy what's here. Sure, you build your frame. Sure, you build all of this legacy, all of this legend. And yet, that's for everybody else. What's for you? Find something in life you enjoy doing. Find an art that you enjoy. Find, do you like writing? Do you like sculpting? Do you like wood carving? Do you like artisanry? Oh, I'm going to do a video on artisanry coming up because I think it's extremely important, just like skaldic work. And I think that we've lost some of that over the ages. And I think I know why in some elements. So I'm coming back to that. But find an art. Find some form of expression. Find yourselves. Travel if that's your cup of tea. Work. Build your legacy. Provide for your family. Provide for your people. If you are a family person, or if you are, even in a relationship, whatever. If you're not, then you don't have to worry about those things. You don't have to be wrapped up in the idea that you have to be in a relationship. It's okay not to be in a relationship and still be a heathen. It's okay not to have kids and still be a heathen. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is perfectly fine because there's other things you can bring to the table. And it's only worth bringing to the table if it is a joyful expression of who you are. All right? If we get wrapped up in the whole I have to leave a legacy thing, it will drive you mad. Don't worry about the legacy. All right? Don't worry about it. It'll work out the way that it works out. Do good things. Make people remember you happy now. If you're not going to have descendants necessarily to say your name over the horn, then give people something to say your name over the horn for around you. Build tribe, build friends, build gefrain, build a family. It doesn't necessarily have to be your kids. Because if you build a real relationship with these people, if you build a real relationship with their families and their generations, then your social construct will remember you. And they will bring your name back up. And they will say your name. Extended family will keep your name alive. Doing good things that are worthy of remembering, building some kind of legend, that'll keep your name alive too. Doing something where you can see your name in print and it's regarded and will be around for a while. Cool. Great way to make a legacy. But it's like my book, right? I've written this book. My name's on it. It's out there. It could be my legacy. Hey, forever he's going to be, Eric is the dude that wrote this book. Good book. Like the book. I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I just know that it's a good book, and therefore his name is awesome. And what kind of a legacy is that? It's crazy. If you go back and look at some of just because you slap on your name on something that's going to last forever. Take Snorri Sturluson, for example. All right, Snorri Sturluson, the guy that wrote the Poetic Eddas.
Correction, you wrote the prose Eddas. I don't know what I was thinking there. Anyway, back to the episode.
And at least pulled it all together and put it into form. Largely trying to preserve legends for skaldic poetry in that day and age. Slapped a Christian veneer on a whole bunch of stuff. There was a lot of syncretism, a lot of bleed over. But he recorded the Eddas, which is one of the only things that we have, one of the few things we have, that actually depict any of our God stories. And so it's something of value. It's a legacy, except for the fact that if you've done any actual research on Snorri Sturluson, the guy was a coward and kind of a tool. He did this one good thing with the book, in putting it out there and putting it in a format that survived given the social climate of the day and age and subsequent day and age. He formalized it in a way that it survived, and because of that, we got our stories. So that's a cool thing he did. If you look at his life history stuff, I'm not a huge fan of Snorri, to be honest. So just because you slap your name on something that's going to last forever doesn't mean you're going to leave behind this massive legacy and that people are going to remember you fondly forever. You can do really cool things, really awesome things, but if you're not living a happy, full life over here, then why? What does it matter? You're going to go back to your ancestors when you pass. You will sit at feast with your ancestors in the underworld. At least that part of your soul will. Again, you know how I go back and watch my soul videos and my afterlife videos and all that to get my context. But where I'm coming from is when we all die, we all sit at feast with our ancestors. We all go into the mound. We all pass on. Our bodies return to Midgard. The lich dissolves. Those elements that were from the gods go back to the gods. Those that are tied to the folk soul go to the folk soul, whatever. And but this is the only moment where we are us, where all of our pieces are here and now. And so this is what matters. This is what matters. The need for legacy. Here's the thing, all right? If you look at Old Norse as far as like the language and things goes, there's a focus on past and there's a focus on present, in that it is the becoming and what has become, but there's not so much a future tense. There's not a focus on the future because the future's not guaranteed. Even reading divination work is the art of predicting possible and probable outcomes based on the pattern of weird here and now. Heathenry is life affirming, not life denying. This life is where it's at. This life is what it's about. We are not living this life in order to gain access to some mythical, beautiful afterlife. That's not the purpose of heathenry. The purpose of heathenry is we are here, we are now, and therefore we need to engage with our ancestors, we need to engage with our gods and goddesses, with the world around us in the here and now, and live it, and be happy, and find our place in it, and just ride this rock until we can't ride it anymore. Where in there does it sound like it's important that you have to have kids, or that you have to have... That's societal pressure that's put on you, all right? That's societal pressure, and that is baggage that's placed on the heathen that's not even necessarily heathen in nature, you know? Yes, there is a huge focus on family. There's a huge focus on Innengard. There's a huge focus on all this stuff because that's how you survive. You know, you surround yourself with people you love and trust, and you build a life. And you live that life. That's the key thing. Live that life. And you'll be good. Don't get wrapped up in whether or not your name's going to be remembered 10 generations from now. Yeah, that would be great. But live it now. Let people know your name now. And then if they remember you, they remember you. And then you will hear it from the seat at table with your ancestors. But ultimately speaking, whether or not your descendants know your name, your ancestors need to know your name. That's where it's at. I'm not trying to prove myself to my descendants. I'm trying to prove myself to my ancestors because I know they're coming. I don't know if descendants are coming. You know, I don't know what's going on in the future. There may not be anybody out there to kind of hear my name, to say my name. There may not be a future. But there are ancestors. They do exist. They are there. And my seat at table with them is guaranteed. When I am done here, I get to go sit at the table. And when I go sit at the table, I am going to have stories to tell. And they are watching me now, and they're going to know if my stories are BS. They're going to know whether or not I'm a cool guy. I want to sit at table and not just tell them my stories. I want them to say, dude, that thing you did was so cool. Or, man, we're so proud of you. That was awesome. You had a great run. It's like a team that's sitting behind the finish line waiting for you to finish the race. And when you get there, they're like, all right, good run. Come on. Let's watch the next one. That's what descendants are about. It's not necessarily about them remembering you. It's about the ancestors remembering you. It's about your descendants need to be worried about whether or not you are going to recognize their name. They need to prove their worth to you so that you give luck to them. You don't get luck from your descendants. You get luck from your ancestors. That's where it's at. Now, frith obligations. That, when you have frith, when you are born into frith with the family, there's obligations there, and that's key to family. Family is family. In the here and now, we stick together. It's blood. It's everything. Yes, I get it. Totally. Absolutely. Because that's a thing. And it's beautiful. It is beautiful, but it's not the only way. Everybody has their own inengacht, their own world. And I am not going to fault somebody who is super proud of their kids, who would die for their kids. I'm never going to fault somebody, because your ancestors are going to look at you and go, you did right by your kids. You're awesome. Your ancestors, plus you have an obligation to them because you brought them here. You're responsible for them. And then there's a reciprocal obligation because you brought them here. So they have an obligation to you as well. Now, whether or not they honor that, that's an entirely different thing. But there's reciprocal obligations that are born out of frith between parent and child. That doesn't diminish the relationship at all, because the relationship, as long as the frith is good, it's a beautiful, wonderful relationship. Fantastic. But it doesn't have to be there. It doesn't have to be for you to be heathen, for you to have a place within heathenry. I will not devalue it in any way, shape, form, or fashion, but I'm also not going to devalue the relationships built by an individual who chooses not to have kids. You guys are in different spectrums, different wheelhouses of the culture, but you have wheelhouses. You have places. You both have value. And ultimately speaking, it's your ancestors that you need to be winning the favor of. Okay? That's the thing. When I go through and want to do something with my name, it's not necessarily so that my descendants will know my name. It's not necessarily so future generations of Sjervens will see, will remember me. I'm not trying to prove myself to them. I'm trying to prove myself to my ancestors. That way, when I have my seat there, my descendants or the extended family around go, that was a cool Sjerven, and I want him to bless me with luck. And that way, from my seated table, I can go, yep, there's a bit for you. You're cool. You're my favorite. Here's a little more for you. That's what I want to be. I want to be the doting uncle from the table and be, blessing my descendants. Well, not even necessarily my descendants, but the continuation of my people, of my family, of my tribe. These people with whom I've tied weird, because that's where it is. It's tied to the weird. And that's what I want. I want that kind of legacy. I want to be able to be the one that people are proving themselves to. Does that make sense? That's what we need to shoot for. That's the life affirming here and now. We live a life that's good, and that our ancestors will honor here and now. You want in this moment to get the luck from your ancestors, because what happens afterwards, in my own personal view, you're not even going to be completely you at that point in time. There's going to be a piece of you that goes to the ancestors table, and a piece that goes into different elements when the soul complex breaks apart. Different people have different views. Not my hall, not my call, whatever. This is how I view it anyway. So legacy is a completely different thing. Yes, there will be people who honor your name over the horn, but that's because they want your blessing, and because they want to honor you. They want to honor you. Think about when you honor ancestors over the horn. It's not because you feel like it's not because you feel obliged to tell their tale. It's because you want them to bless you. You want to call attention to them. You toast them because they're awesome. You are reaching to the ancestors. So reach to your ancestors. Do that. Are people going to do that for you in the future in Sumbul? Doesn't really matter. Yeah, it could. They could. It's possible. There's a lot of people that don't get hailed over the horn, but that doesn't matter because they still sit at feast with their ancestors. Their value is still recognized. Whether or not it's recognized by the next generations, there's no telling. That's Schul's domain. That's ephemeral. That's not real. We are real here and now. They were real. We are real. They could be real. Does that make sense? We're real here and now. So live that. Worry about that. Don't worry about relationships. Don't worry about kids. Worry about just being happy and finding your place. If your place involves relationships and kids, cool. Rock on. Fantastic. You've got some awesome things you can do for community. If they don't involve those things, you have other awesome things that you can do for the community, for yourselves to find your place and your value and your happiness. Find your happiness. That's what it's about. Be happy in your setting. Be happy with the people that you put around you. And if you're not, maybe reevaluate why you're doing what you're doing at the moment. The whys matter. Okay? As I always say, the whys matter. So, the wise pay attention to the wise. So, that's corny as hell, but I loved it. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This was a complete and total ramble. I'm not even going to lie. When I sat down and started to do this video, I'm like, well, okay, here's some key points. I even wrote a couple down. And yeah, we went a completely different route from what I wrote down. But I got kind of passionate about it there in a moment because I had the whole, I need to put this out there. I need to put this into words. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know some of you live to see me get worked up over something. So there you go. I got worked up over something. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't make too much of a fool of myself. And mostly I hope I made my point. All right, guys? There is a place for individuals within society today who do not have kids, cannot have kids, will not have kids, whatever. Doesn't matter. Whether or not you have kids does not impact that you have the fact that you have value to your society, that which you incorporate yourself within. If the society has issues with your worth, if they do not value you because of that, they're the wrong society for you because they're not grading by what value you bring to the table. They don't see your worth. And if you don't have worth to them, why are you there? So find another one that does recognize what you do. Is it easy? Is it simple? No. Same thing with relationships. If you are in a relationship and that causes issues with your group, your social group, that person has become your hearth. Don't damage that in order to meet the kind of relationship over here from a societal level. It's hearth, clan, tribe, not tribe, clan, hearth. Doesn't work that way. Focus on hearth first. Take care of hearth first. Now that being said, don't just hook up with some crazy and then let them lead you astray from everything. Pay attention to the people with whom you have built weird. Pay attention to the people who know you. And if they say that one might be crazy, pay attention. All right, listen. They know you, and there's a reason for that. So anyway, but if you're single, you choose not to be in a relationship, can't be in a relationship, aren't in a relationship for whatever form or fashion, whatever reason, you still have value. You still have a place within society. It's there. And if they can't see that, then maybe that's not the social organization for you. Maybe you just need to show them your worth. Maybe you haven't done that yet. Maybe you haven't stepped up and gone, but guys, look, I can do this, and I can do that, and I can do that. It's like, while you guys are off taking care of the kids and everything, I'm out here building stuff for you. While you guys are off playing games and stuff and wrangling kids and teaching kids and helping to teach them stuff that will keep our culture going in the future, while you're doing that, I'm over here taking care of infrastructure stuff that helps our culture function now, so there is something to pass on in the future. So you're working together towards the same goal. How cool is that? That's the thing. It takes both. It takes individuals who have experience, who have knowledge. You bring different things to the table based on your life experiences, and you want people with a wide variety of life experiences brought to the table so that your social construct can endure whatever it can endure. That's the thing. So anyway, I'm rambling more. The case in point is live life, be happy, you have worth, you have a place in heathenry today. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If they are, they're not seeing you for who you are. Don't give into that. Don't worry about it. Be you, be happy, and be strong. All right, guys? So, hail to you all. Whether you have kids, whether you don't, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're not, I don't care. It's about our deeds. It's about our worth. It's what we do. It's what we bring. So, hail to you all. Thank you for watching and putting up with this particularly weird ramble. Hopefully it was a good one. We'll see. I don't know. But thank you all. Hail. And may your hearth fires burn bright. All right. Oh, my neck is tight. Sorry about that. All right, so see if I can wrap my brain around another video. I'm gonna see if I can't do this. I know I'm a total goon sometimes, guys. I can't help it. It's a thing. I get in front of the camera, and it kind of helps me to get in character and all this stuff by being just a goober in front of it. So. For a long time I didn't put these up, and then it's like, hey, people like the bloopers, so I'm gonna throw the bloopers on here. I was always doing this. I was just talking to myself instead of talking to you guys. So I'm a total goon, I swear. All right, we are live. We're gonna do the single parent, not the heathens without kids and heathens without significant others. You know, status of the not status quo, as it were. All right, so 2, 1, let's jam. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects. Whatever strikes my mind at the time, catches my fancy. No. Oh, that was bad. Anyway, I didn't like that. Let's cut it. Let's go back. I don't want it. So. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects. Kind of whatever strikes my fancy at the time, sets my mind on fire. And this is I actually got that, then I ruined it. 3, oh yeah. Go back. And 3, 2, 1, let's jam.